Welcome to the Community Health Worker Instructor course. This course will prepare you for certification as an instructor in the state of Texas. You will attain competencies in the following skills: communication, interpersonal, service coordination, capacity building, advocacy, teaching, organizational, and a knowledge base on specific health issues. Please remember to turn off autoplay in the upper right-hand corner of your screen so you won't feed into the next video. Let's begin. Communication basics and listening skills. Keys for effective interpersonal communication. This video will assist you in becoming familiar with several items: the communication process, good communication, poor communication, cultural competency, and listening skills. The communication process consists of sender, message, channel, receiver, feedback, and context, as you can see in this diagram. These all have the potential to create misunderstanding and confusion. As the source of the message, you need to be clear about why you're communicating and what you want to communicate. You also need to be confident that the information you're communicating is useful and accurate. The message is the information that you want to communicate. Encoding is the process of transferring the information you want to communicate into a form that can be sent and correctly decoded at the other end. Your success in encoding depends partly on your ability to convey information clearly and simply, but also on your ability to anticipate and eliminate sources of confusion. Confusion, for example, like cultural issues, mistaken assumptions, and missing information. A key part of this is knowing your audience. Failure to understand who you are communicating with will result in delivering messages that are misunderstood. Messages are conveyed through channels, with verbal channels including face-to-face meetings, telephone and video conferencing, and written channels including letters, emails, memos, and reports. Different channels have different strengths and weaknesses. For example, it's not particularly effective to give a long list of directions verbally, while you'll quickly cause problems if you criticize someone strongly by email. Just as successful encoding is a skill, so is successful decoding, involving, for example, taking the time to read a message carefully or listen actively to it. Just as confusion can arise from errors in encoding, it can also arise from decoding errors. This is particularly the case if the decoder doesn't have enough knowledge to understand the message. Each individual enters into the communication process with ideas and feelings that will undoubtedly influence their understanding of your message and their response. To be a successful communicator, you should consider these before delivering your message and act appropriately. Your audience will provide you with feedback, verbal and nonverbal reactions to your communicated message. Pay close attention to this feedback, as it is the only thing that allows you to be confident that your audience has understood your message. If you find that there has been a misunderstanding, at least you have the opportunity to send the message a second time. The situation in which your message is delivered is the context. This may include the surrounding environment or broader culture. Corporate culture, international cultures, and so on all apply. There are benefits of good communication. Good communication builds trust. Good communication helps encourage disclosure. Good communication enhances patient satisfaction. Good communication involves and engages patients more fully and helps patients make more informed decisions. When there's poor communication, there's most certainly an impact. Poor communication results in decreased confidence, which can impact trust. Poor communication may result in reduced disclosure. Poor communication can cause patient distress, lead to patient noncompliance, and result in increased patient complaints. Obstacles to good communication include a physical environment that lacks privacy, poor communication skills, which we've talked about, a lack of sensitivity or empathy, time constraints, and distractions. Additional obstacles, such as illness or medication, may impact good communication. An anxious, embarrassed client or patient who may be in denial of medical conditions, or someone who's intimidated by the doctor or the healthcare system. Another obstacle to good communication may be that the individual doesn't understand terminology or jargon, and language or cultural barriers may also affect good communication. Let's talk a little bit now about cultural competency. Our ultimate goal is to deliver services that are respectful of and responsive to the health beliefs, practices, and cultural and linguistic needs of diverse patients. Different individuals will have different bodies of knowledge, different bodies of belief, and different bodies of behavior, which will all impact communication. Cultural competency is critical to reducing health disparities and improving access to high quality healthcare. Healthcare that's respectful of and responsive to the needs of diverse patients. When developed and implemented as a framework, cultural competence enables systems, agencies, and groups of professionals to function effectively to understand the needs of groups accessing health information and healthcare, or individuals who may be participating in research, in an inclusive partnership where the provider and the user of the information meet on common ground. Remember, cultural competency improves outcomes. There's a reduction in health disparities, improved access, and effective communication. Listening is the ability to accurately receive and interpret messages in the communication process. Listening is key to all effective communication. Without the ability to listen effectively, messages are often easily misunderstood. Communication can break down, and the sender of the message can easily become frustrated or irritated. Think about these statistics for a second. Adults spend an average of 70% of their time engaged in some sort of communication. And of this, an average of 45% is spent listening compared to 30% speaking, 16% reading, and 9% writing. So again, listening is of paramount importance as far as accurately receiving and interpreting messages while you're communicating. Let's discuss a little bit about active or effective listening now. Active listening is a way of listening and responding to another person that improves mutual understanding. The goal of the graphic here is to help understand that statement a little bit better in a picture format. Individuals are often distracted or half listening or half thinking about something else during communication. When people are engaged in a conflict, they're often busy formulating a response to what's being said. They assume that they've heard what their opponent is saying many times before, so rather than paying attention, they focus on how they can respond to win the argument. Active listening is a structured form of listening and responding that focuses the attention on the speaker. The listener must take care to attend to the speaker fully, and then repeats, in the listener's own words, what he or she thinks the speaker said. The listener doesn't have to agree with the speaker. He or she simply states what they think the speaker said. This enables the speaker to find out whether the listener really understood. If the listener did not, the speaker can explain some more. Often, the listener is encouraged to interpret the speaker's words in terms of feelings. So instead of just repeating what happened, the active listener might add that you feel angry or frustrated or confused when a particular event happens. Then the speaker can go beyond confirming that the listener understood what happened, but can indicate that he or she also understood the speaker's psychological response to it. Active listening has several benefits, just like the one that I mentioned. First, it forces people to listen attentively to others. It avoids misunderstandings. as people have to confirm that they do really understand what another person has said. Also, it tends to open people up to get them to say more. When people are in conflict, they often contradict each other, denying the opponent's description of a situation. This tends to make people defensive, and they'll either lash out or withdraw and say nothing more. However, if they feel that their opponent is really attuned to their concerns and wants to listen, they're likely to explain in detail what they feel and why. If both parties to a conflict do this, the chances of being able to develop a solution to their mutual problem becomes much greater.